You know, we could try to pretend that this whole three-eye atlas thing is a bunch of hogwash. A lot of people are dismissing it as just nothing more than a comet. Some people are calling them fallen angels. Whatever it may be, something is definitely off, and I'm intrigued. It's unlike anything we've heard or seen before, and it's picking up a lot of steam, whether it's on social media, whether it's on the news. Something's going on. I'm wondering if all the drone and orb activity of last winter, was it? Where, you know, people were just spotting everything in the sky with drones the size of school buses and SUVs and things of that nature. I wonder if they were just trying to prepare us for this. And maybe it's just my algorithm, but it just seems like anywhere you look, if you're paying attention, if you haven't been under a rock for the last, I'd say 60 to 90 days, there's been a lot of talk about what this thing is floating around in space or wherever it is. And I'm excited. I'm probably one of the weird ones out here that's excited because I feel like humanity needs a reset. And if this is going to be the thing that resets the human race, then bring it on. Just wait until I get my book out. I have a book coming out at the end of the year, start of 2026, hopefully. Whatever happens after that, cool. And I don't want to be one of those know-it-alls to pretend that I know what's happening and even pretend that nothing's going to happen. You know, we get a lot of false predictions and end of the world themes. It just happens every year. We just had one maybe last month where people were saying it was the end of time and whatever, just based off of cult behaviors and stupid predictions, and no one knows anything. No, whatever this thing is floating, you know, this mothership or whatever, these are exciting times because we've never really encountered anything like this. They say it's supposed to, you know, get behind the sun and who, you know, it's supposed to be the size of Manhattan Island. Can you imagine looking in the sky and just seeing something that's just taking up most of your sky and your radius, wherever you're standing? Can you imagine that? And this leads me to ask, what happened to Space Force? Remember Space Force, this whole unit of military that President Donald Trump introduced back in, I think it was 2016? Space Force, we would have control of the skies.
Very importantly, I'm hereby directing the Department of Defense and Pentagon to immediately begin the process necessary to establish a Space Force as the sixth branch of the armed forces. That's a big statement.
Where are they? We don't hear anything about anyone anymore. You know, Space Force to me would be the ones that we would look at right now. Like, what's going on? NASA and Space Force. And we could take NASA with a grain of salt. We all know they're probably not the most credible source. But Space Force was supposed to be the answer to something like Three-Eye Atlas. And we don't hear a peep. Not a single word. And I'm so confused. I feel like we're living in like the Twilight Zone. Again, and I said this in a recent video, every month there seems to be news, some kind of major news event. Last month we had Charlie Kirk. This month, this Three-Eye Atlas is picking up steam. We've been hearing about it since maybe the summertime. What is this? What's happening? I need answers. The government shut down. Is the government shut down because of this? See, I don't want to get caught up in conspiracy talk because some conspiracy, as we all know, are truths. So there's something to this. Where there's smoke, there's fire. There's something clearly to this. We're only getting really one mouthpiece, and that's the Harvard scientist. You know, he's doing all the talking right now. Where are the other scientists? Where's Neil deGrasse Tyson, Mr. Know-It-All? Where's he at? Where are all the other scientists? I feel like this Harvard dude is like the Anthony Fauci of this whole Three-Eye Atlas. He's the one face we keep going to. And is it because he had this advanced telescope and he was able to spot this thing, you know, months ago or whenever it was? Is it because of that? And why aren't there other allies? Why haven't other scientists joined forces with him to collaborate on this story? Then we have the Jeremy Corbells of the world. Again, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because not everyone is privy to this, and you can do your own research. But people have been talking about this, but no one seems to be on this Harvard dude's side for the most part. No one's co-signing his story. It just leads me to wonder, could there be something going on? Most of us in this lifetime have encountered some major events on the home front. We've encountered major events, happening overseas with our troops and things of that nature, but we've never seen something like this. And Ronald Reagan talked about it back in 1980 something.
We need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
But this was talked about some 40 years ago. And could it be happening? I don't know, but I'm interested. Whatever it is. Some people are saying it's the Anunnaki. Then again, you hear the fallen angels. Then, you're hearing people say, well, it can't be anything because we're in the firmament. So how can anything get through the firmament? And whatever it is coming through the water. You're hearing so many theories, and the people in position of power aren't saying a word. So we're left to speculate and just, create our own stories and let our imaginations run wild. But I really, really hope whatever it is, if it comes here, if it comes in peace, great. If it doesn't, hey, listen, it's been fun. Just wait till I get my book published again, a couple more months, or whatever you do after that. Hey, I would love to hear, people's take on this. What they think this is. Could this be another fear-mongering tactic to just hide away some evidence of something else going on? Or what could this be? Because it's getting a little tiresome to have to deal with a news story every month. Can we get a break? Can there just be 6 months of light news? Just light news. Every time I look around, there's something going on. But this one has piqued my interest, and I'd be interested in knowing what people think this is, or do people even know what's going on? Some people aren't informed. Some people see this as just some sci-fi stuff. Oh, this is some Star Trek, who cares? But I'm wondering if the events of last winter, with all the orb sightings and all the drone sightings, I wonder if this was in preparation for the big one. Because a lot of people kind of were intrigued for a moment last year, and then they kind of were like, we've seen this before. Do people care? I'm curious to know.